Well, hello and welcome to our program. So good to have you with us. Today on our program, I'm going to tell you the story of Esther. But as you know by now, on our Philosophiz'n programs, we do a couple of songs and then we do a little talk in the middle. And so I suppose you could say this song goes along with the message today. It's a song called "It Is No Secret What God Can Do."
The chimes of time ring out the news, another day is through. Someone slipped and fell. Was that someone you? You may have longed for added strength, your courage to renew. Do not be disheartened, for I bring hope to you. It is no secret what God can do, what He's done for others, He'll do for you. With arms wide open, He'll pardon you. It is no secret what God can do. There is no night, for in His light you'll never walk alone. Always feel at home wherever you may roam. There is no power can conquer you while God is on your side. Just take Him at His promise. Don't run away and hide. It is no secret what God can do, what He's done for others, He'll do for you. With arms wide open, He'll pardon you. It is no secret what God can do. It is no secret what God can do, what He's done for others, He'll do for you. With arms wide open, He'll pardon you. It is no secret what God can do. It is no secret what God can do.
The story of Esther is it's an interesting story. God has a plan for all of us. We just have to open up and let Him work in our life. Now, it may not be some grand and glorious thing. You know, He calls us all for different reasons, you know. If you're a mechanic, he might want you to be the best transmission specialist out there. Do you know what a blessing it is to get your transmission fixed if it ain't working? You know, let your car go down. I mean, we're so dependent on our cars now. This is just the point I'm making. You know, if you can fix people's cars, whether it be a transmission or whatever, and you do it with a smile and in a friendly way, you're a blessing to them. If you've just got a pretty smile and you smile at people, you'd be surprised. A lot of people can be in the depths of despair, but if they see somebody smile at them, it can lift them up. I mean, there's just all kind of little things that we can do. Some of us are called to do other things, you know. Can you imagine having a heart attack and there's no medical person that can help you? I mean, they are a blessing to you. God puts us here for reasons, you know. I can look back on my life and I can see a path that he had me walk that led me all the way to here. Now, I wasn't always in his will, but I was still learning stuff during that period of time. A lot of stuff I was learning was what not to do again, you know. But anyway, God puts us in a place for different reasons. Okay, well, Esther was a young Hebrew lady. Really, she was just a young girl. She was in her teens. And Xerxes, who was I guess you would call him the king of Persia, but anyway, he was the person at the top of the heap in Persia at the time. And he had some beauty contest in order to pick out his wives. And Esther was a Hebrew girl. And she was in the contest, and she wound up winning the contest. Well, they got married, and he loved her. I mean, he just fell in love with this lady. And she had been raised by her uncle. Her parents had passed away, and her uncle's name was Mordecai. And I believe, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I believe Xerxes' first in command in the army, I believe his name was Haman. And he was one of these boisterous kind of guys. You know, he wanted everybody bowing to him. You know, he thought he was so important. You know, usually the second in command's a whole lot harder to get along with than the first command because he's kind of wishing he was the top. You know, so now he's trying to prove himself. But anyway, the Hebrew people wouldn't bow to him. You know, they worshiped one God. And they weren't going to bow to somebody particularly that was in second command, even if it was Persia. Well, Haman had this, he had a lot of power with Xerxes. And so he was wanting to have them all killed, Mordecai and all the Hebrew people. Well, when Esther heard this is her people. You know, when Esther heard this, she went to Xerxes and she said, he didn't even know she was a Hebrew girl at that time. So she goes to him and she was taking a chance because one of two things was going to happen. She was going to be lumped into the people that was going to be killed, or she was going to have an influence on him. Well, he loved her so much, and all of a sudden he realized, wait a minute, this woman that I love so much is one of them. Now all of a sudden he looked at them in a different way. You know, it's amazing how sometimes we look on people as second class or this or that, but if we're involved with some of them so that we learn that they are just people like we are. You know, not long ago we were talking about how Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. And then he told the story of the Good Samaritan to tell us who our neighbor was. It's not necessarily the person that lives next door to you. It's anyone who needs our help. But anyway, so all of a sudden he changes his mind, and instead of killing the Hebrew people, he had Haman taken out. So all of that story just leads you to see that God put her where she belonged to save the Hebrew people. In essence, that's what happened. She in essence saved, because this guy, I mean, Persia was a big time country at that time. And the Bible, when you read the Bible, you know, you think of the Israelites as being a strong, powerful people, but really there were other cultures and other countries that were much more powerful. And He would have been able to, if he didn't kill them all, he would have gotten a lot of them had he carried through with that. But she was influential because she was at the right place at the right time, and God put her there. So my point in this talk is to tell you, you are important to God. He put you here for a reason. You just have to be open-minded and see what those reasons are. And oftentimes he's not asking you really to go out of your way to do anything special or great. Just be kind to people. Do your job well. And I've said this before, young people, pick out something that you enjoy doing, that you love to do, and get good at it. If that requires going to school, you don't always have to go to college. You can go to a trade school. YouTube University. I cannot tell you how much stuff I learned from YouTube. I mean, I'm 78 years old. Every day of my life, I'm on YouTube for one reason or another. Google. I use Google. It's unbelievable how often I'll go and ask it. It's gotten so good now, you can start to type your question in, and before you finish the question, it will finish it for you. We live in an amazing world, and the technology we have can be used for both good and for evil. But let's choose to use it for good, because it is there for that too. But anyway, get good at what you love to do, and then you'll never work a day in your life. I can't tell you how many 12, 15-hour days I have spent working on music or this or that, but it wasn't work to me. I would have done it anyway. But I got to the point where I was able to make a living with it, So, and those of you that are older, sometimes in life you find a second vocation. If you're not happy with your job, you don't have to quit your job and go do something foolish and then try to, at 50 years old, I wouldn't advise you to try to be a pro golfer. That's probably not going to work out well. So you got to use a little common sense. But what you love to do, figure out how to do it on the side, so to speak. And it could be that you could get to a point where you then can you can start making enough of a living off of what you love to do that you can replace what you don't want to do. But anyway, try to be happy in what you do in life. Also, look at the glass as half full instead of half empty. If you count your blessings, you'll be surprised how much better your life will be. But anyway, know that you are special, and God put you here for a reason, and it's up to you to find what that reason is. But we're going to wind up with a song today that it's actually a song I wrote. It's a song called Praise God.
He's the way through the night. He is waiting for you to call. Praise God, praise God. Jesus is Lord of all. understands how you feel. He can brighten your day, ease your fall. Praise God, praise God. Jesus is Lord. Praise God, praise God. Jesus is Lord.
Thank you for being with us today. It's always a pleasure to be able to visit with you and sit and talk a little bit and listen to a little music. And I'm going to ask you, just like I always did on the Friday night show, be kind to each other, and I'll see you on the next program.